Okay, back with a third video. This one detailing the Tide system and getting a student into Tide. Again, similar to OHID, just every fiscal year, um, you have to basically update if the person was in there or not. You have to update the system. To me, it's a really kind of silly step that you can't just import people, and maybe with a bit more research on Tide, that's possible. You can certainly batch upload, and I think the spreadsheet's probably set up to do that for those that were in there. I'm just going to go over the input of one student. This would be obviously the same whether the person was in there or is new. The same steps would be followed. Again, you can kind of do a mass, spreadsheet like an Excel type of file upload to make things quicker, as long as all the columns are filled out in the order that the software is looking for. With that said, again, one of the things that we do and will continue to do is use the student ID number to build out the SSID. So using the ADP and then using the 6 digits from the student ID. I'm going to use an existing student, Letitia McKelton, just to show the rollover process. Again, it's been, I know, something that you've done extensively in the past, so won't go into deep detail, just bring McKelton over. Unfortunately, students that were set up with the Tide last year have to be rolled into this fiscal year. Obviously, any student that wasn't set up, that doesn't have an Ohio ID, that doesn't have an ODE, adult learner started application, all new people have to be put in as well. Obviously, that's pretty common sense there. So let's just hop in to an example. Again, I'm going to do Letitia McKelton as my example. Just real quick. So I'm already logged in, I think. Yes, I am. I'm gonna log out. The Tide portal, or like how you access it, hasn't changed. I think the user interface has changed. This is kind of the new splash page, so to speak. Sorry, I'm gonna try to shut down any tabs related to that. Okay, so anyway, this OH portal, Canvas, whatever, is the new kind of splash page that you can access Tide from. And this red backpack icon that says Ohio State Test is how you get into this. This is the part of the interface that I think is essentially the same. We're still going to teachers and test administrators. Again, all this stuff is kind of the old interface, old software. If we click on Tide, this is, obviously where you log in. Just a heads up that your credential doesn't roll over from one year to the next. So you have to essentially reset it. So I was able to reset mine. Just note that you have to request a password update for the new year. Of course, ODE now has basically multi-factor security stuff on everything. So probably 3 PIN codes later, you'll have a password reset. So that's just one thing to quickly point out. Once you're in Tide, I think there's only one option under test administration. Choose the role. All this stuff is already set to the proper settings. Again, I know under student information, you can, upload, in a batch capacity. I'm just going to do the, that's actually I was not thinking. I'm actually just going to add one student just as a simple example. Again, I'm going to use McKelton, an existing student, just because until the 21st, we're not going to be able to, and I'm talking about the 21st of August, we're not going to be able to start any new applications for FY21. So basically the first day we can do that is probably the 22nd of August. Long story short, I'm just using McKelton. Her SSID is totally fine to use one that existed for them. Obviously, using the same SSID is the thing that makes sense. So I'm just going to copy McKelton's ID from FY20, jump back in, and I'm going to put her in like so. Student last name. I'm just going to copy out of the sheet for safety's sake. So McKelton. And then get Letitia in. Use the middle name straight out of the sheet. You know, all this is obviously very straightforward. Again, I know this can be done in a batch to save a huge amount of time, but just as an individual example. And, you know, it's the continued month, day, and 4-digit year with no dashes in between. So in order to actually bring this over, so that may work in the batch upload to have it framed like this. So March 21st, 1980. For whatever reason, it wants it like this: March 21st, 1980. Enrolled grade, adult high school, ethnicity, let's see, African American. And then our continued home district, IRN 133264. Okay. McKelton does have an IEP. So, you know, we can check that in the IEP, yes. So that's kind of a unique thing for her and anybody else. You know, if you see in their folder that they have an IEP, you can bubble in the IEP bubble. And I think I foolishly missed OGTs in pursuit of that. So just giving her access to all of them, even though I think she does not need all of them, just turning on yes in every category. So, and yes, with the IEP in her specific instance. So that's that. And we'll save it down at the bottom. And very similar to when a person's SAFE has been updated, we were using kind of the green highlight, and we were using dark green too for like specifying that they're up to snuff in FY21. Why don't we do that on this sheet, not specifically over the person's name, but just in their row on the Don column here. We can go ahead and put it on the dark green too again, which will indicate that she's been successfully, at least in Tide, moved over to 21. Just because, again, these guys don't roll automatically. You got to put them back in. And here's an example of just like, so it's clear cut that they don't just kind of automatically roll, which would be extremely nice. So if we go, let's see, student information, view. If I just search, right, I have no filters on at all. If I just search, only one result is returned and that's McKelton. I didn't put on any filters. So like for all of Don High School, all programs, because I didn't specifically filter for the adult education part, one person is entered into Tide as we speak. I'm sure that will change significantly, but obviously we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in Tide with, OGT access in FY20. McKelton's the only person for this year. So again, if we could kindly specify using the dark green, that O2 on the OGT pre-dash ID sheet, if we could just do the dark green 2 on the Don CS piece for anybody who's been brought over. And again, obviously, using that batch uploads certainly wise. But as we go through and add people, if we could just make them dark green, so it's clear that they've been brought over to FY21, that'd be very great. So that is the Tide system for FY21. I'm going to stop the video here. I'll do a really quick video, and I'm sure that you'll probably remember this, but a really quick video on WorkKeys and inputting a student so they can have a username and password on that. And then that will be it for the very moment. I'll do a video probably over the weekend on the FY21 profile, creating a started application in the ODE Adult Learner System for 22 plus and ADP. But these 4 videos that we've got now are kind of like the foundation of it. I'll also go over the priorities, like, what students are the biggest priority to get their IDs up to date, their Ohio IDs up to date, like where to look first. Once those are done, where to look second, et cetera. How do we prioritize? So I'll actually go over that in the next video. So that will be it for this one. Signing off here, and then